Hi everybody, Jim Perotti and wife Diane. We're out on the
Hello.
side porch. It's a beautiful day. I hung Phillip Jeffries metallic weave on this sample board, and what happened was I had booked the paper. I pasted the paper. I let it book. I didn't really fold the ends where it was booked, but I've got a light over here bouncing, so you should be able to see the shininess of the background, and you'll also see these little striations here in silver. That came as a complete surprise to me when I hung the paper. I let it dry out. I went back the next day and I said, wow, look at these. That's no good. I got out a very high-powered, not microscope, what do you call it? Magnifying glass. And I could see that in each one of these little spaces between the grid, it's squeezed and pinched. And what you're seeing is the reflection of that deformity coming off of that light. Now, this is no good. And what I wanted to do was to demonstrate what's actually going on. Could you cut that? Okay. I made some examples here out of different pieces of paper and cardboard to illustrate what's going on with the Phillip Jeffries metallic weave. I have here a single ply cardstock, okay? And as you bend a single ply cardstock, the upper part and the lower part are of the same radius, and so you can bend them pretty well, and they look, you're not going to get a problem with that, okay? Now, here's a piece of a very thin cardboard. One side is white paper, and the other side is the brown paper that's corrugated. Can you see that?
There, you can.
Okay. All right, so what happens when you have something like this, and now it's got one layer on the top, one layer on the bottom. If you draw a circle or a section of a circle, an arc, the one on the top has a wider bend, and the one below it has a narrower bend. And what happens when you try to move them in tandem is that, here's what happens. You want to bend them, and what happens is the top bends, but the bottom gets crimped. And, okay, so let's do another dramatic demonstration. We're out on the porch, and there's wind noise, but I want to see if you can hear this. If you put two pieces of these cardboards together, simulating this is the paper weave top, and things are blowing away.
It's the hurricane.
It's the end of Hurricane Earl. If you, oh boy, because I don't have a great camera. I mean, I don't have a great sound setup here, and there's a very okay. Can you hear that?
Oh, yeah.
That's what happens when you put an upper layer and a lower layer and try to force them together and try to bend them. What you're hearing is the sound of stress in the form of audio. Energy is being released and in the form of sound. When you bend things like this, the energy of trying to bend the bottom piece is released on the corrugated piece by having a dimple between the corrugations of cardboard. But in the case of Phillip Jeffries metallic weave, there's nothing else that the bottom or the silver can do except to deform into sort of like, have you ever seen a truss bridge where it goes like that, those little lines like that. And when you look close up at the metallic weave, that's what's going on. Why am I telling you all this? Because you cannot roll those creases out. They are permanent. They won't go away. So my suggestion to you, if you are hanging either, well, it doesn't have to be Phillip Jeffries. It could be any metallic weave, since these metallic weaves are getting pretty popular with Mylar or Mylar looks coming back. My suggestion to you is do not paste the paper. Do not book the paper. If you need to cut the paper going into a corner, you need to longitudinally cut it. Cut it on the table. Dry. Do not let it hang over the table. God forbid, do not let a wide sheet hang over the point of the end of the table where it will go, where it will drape and will crimp, because that was the worst one I found. And it's not just in the metallic weave with the high sheen, it's also present in the linen weave. Phillip Jeffries makes two. One is called metallic weave, it's called paper form, and the paper form is the basket weave that we saw. I'm pointing to it over there, you can't see it, it's on my porch. The other one, which I don't have a sample of, but I have hung about 5 of them, has the same problem. It's not so metallic. It's a little bit like a coppery bronze glow. And instead of having the paper weave over it, it's got the linen, and it does exactly the same thing. I think even worse, because what happens is it seems like it breaks off the sort of like a faux finish, and now real points of light shine through. My suggestion, if you're hanging a 20-foot piece in a two-story hallway, get somebody else. I know I will. I won't try to do it by myself. If you're doing a ceiling with it, I guess the thing to do is to get a cylinder and roll it off a big cylinder, not a little roll, but a very wide cylinder, so that you cannot bend this at all. Thanks.